Hey, Curas here. Happy 4th of July. I had to think how I was going to make this video before I made it, because I was going to come on here and say, oh, so what how America got its independence. Obviously, it was on the backs of the friggin' sweat of the blacks and the land of the friggin' Indians. So what? Boo-hoo. And then I thought about going the other way and saying like, oh no, we didn't really look at it right through the lens of history, because all that was going on then and is still going on. But everything came around for the better, because things came from that, and tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, come on. Neither one is exactly right. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, what happened was horrible, and we're going to judge it by today's standards, and, and now we completely condemn it, and America is an imperial state, and blah, 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 blah. Talk to Mr. Winky Wanky Hand. Please. I'm proud to be American. Frankly, as an atheist, or someone who believes in no supernatural, I just say naturalist to give up the whole atheist thing, but people think I was talking about being an environmentalist or something, which I am to a point. But the point is that I don't believe in freaking the supernatural, and yet I would really like to know how there would be a good way to say God bless America. You know that? I've heard people say, I heard this one guy say on a video, he said, oh, just because oh yeah, I know who it was, this lady. She said, as a matter of factly, she goes, well, just because there's atheists that do not believe in God, how the hell did it go? I screwed it up, but oh well. She said that just because there's atheists, that doesn't mean that they're liberal. And just because they're liberal doesn't mean they're atheist. No, wait, excuse me, I gotta get a drink of something. Every time I start making a video, I start coughing. I don't know, it must be the hooch. Oh, dang, that's good stuff. Oh. Woo! Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's a lot more likely that there's gonna be friggin' liberals that are religious, because that has made all the headway into that, and it's always kind of been like that, because religion has been there a long time. Heck, friggin' liberalism came from Christianity in a way. In some aspects, it really did. Western culture came from Christianity because Judaism wasn't doing it, because Christianity was an development of Judaism, and the Eastern things weren't doing it, and the Muslim things sure as hell weren't doing it. So they've only been there because friggin' they've been caught in a friggin' crossroads between friggin' everything between the East and the West. And now, ironically, it's the one thing that friggin' they're still in the middle of, and that's oil, of all the weird things in the friggin' world. What a bizarre coincidence. But anyhow, yeah, so basically, that saying does not really hold that there is not, atheists are almost not all liberal. I'm a friggin' economic progressive only because I see that friggin' you cannot sustain the libertarian model and friggin' low bid friggin' prosperity. And you know why you can't low bid prosperity? Because of what founded America. See, you thought I wouldn't get back to it. I got sidetracked, but I didn't get sidetracked this time. I kept it on track. So, in your face, friggin' plops of dirt. And the point is that it very much comes down to resources. Resources and technology, because technology is the thing that cultivates resources. And that is that friggin' the resource is not only money, but different things of value, such as labor and land. The land we needed from the Indians and all the resources on it, and the labor, cheap labor, that we got from the blacks. And later on the West Coast, the Chinese and other immigrants. And since the here I go trying to say a big word again. Emancipation Proclamation, we all freaking got the central bank, and therefore we all got to be wage slaves. Don't tell me we're not. And I will also tell you to remind you about redistribution of wealth, because it's important to remember, and why individualism is individualism, and what that means about conservative and liberal in this day and age. Because that all makes very much an important point of where we are in the modern world, and what founded America, and what our independence is, and why people should not get confused between independence and collectivism. Now, whether either you want it to be statist or not, that's a different story. But if you really think about it, the Union, the North, that wanted to free the slaves, was the statist one. And the South was the one that didn't want statism. They wanted privatization. They wanted to handle their labor and state laws the way they wished. Get to work! That's right. Now, wrap your head around that one for a little bit. But of course, the paradigm's all different now in our oil-driven economy, because that's what makes televisions, radio, internet, trade, internationalism, aid, all these things revolve around oil and freaking a mechanized culture. That's what makes things work, and why so many of these liberal arguments are fallacies. And frankly, why a lot of the conservative ones are too. Because at the end of the day, they're all just internationalists. Whether you call them globalists or internationalists, that's what they are. They're nothing but a bunch of Trotsky-loving friggin' Marxists. And I'm not fooled anymore. So frankly, you can keep your friggin' economic right. You can keep your friggin' socialist left, because I don't want them anymore. Frankly, I swore up and down, social deregulation. And then you got people crying about, friggin' in the atheist community about, oh, why can't it be like that? Because you're friggin' enforcing a friggin' federalist friggin' statist society. Because you're not taking the good with the bad. You're the one who wants it more than half the time. You know? You want it for what you want it on, but when it's not something you don't want it on, then you get out in the street and friggin' howl and protest. No. You know, but when the other side does it, because they picked up all your bad friggin' activist habits and stuff, instead of forming a friggin' proper constituency, no, they're teabaggers. You know, and I don't agree with a lot of the teabagging stuff, but I do get the point of the individualism. That ironically has flipped, because we are now in not a renewable resource society, but a depleting resource society. That's the whole thing about oil. And that's the thing. Other thing is the resource has filled up because we have colonized from friggin' sea to sea and friggin' north to south as far as we're gonna go. And that was the whole point of friggin' I forgot what the heck that thing was called, that libertarian thing. Something exchange. Oh, well, shit. I forgot. But anyway, well, hell, time for another drink then if I forgot. Ooh, that knowledge juice just works for me, because now I just found out it from the little bitty bottle it was comparative advantage. Hey, yeah. Look up comparative advantage sometime if you want to know what the hell am I talking like this for? You want to know what's going on. If you want to know why libertarians friggin' hide behind friggin' riot lines and friggin' run you down after you sing friggin' the Canadian National Anthem or friggin' all the other big business things, but yet support your right to friggin' drink, do drugs, have hookers, and everything else, it's called friggin' body autonomy. And they figure their work is their body. And that's where it all falls apart. But yet people don't friggin' stop to talk about this. And it's like, wait a minute, this should be reiterated every friggin' sentence. And the friggin' every time you talk about globalization, talk about comparative advantage. And all the friggin' resources you're sending off to God knows where, because friggin' it's okay to have friggin' someone do it in Malaysia, but gosh forbid friggin' someone in Detroit would be doing it for under the friggin' wage. You know, and all these Hollywood assholes send the friggin' all the goddamn friggin' same thing up north to friggin' Canada. Because friggin' probably they look just as white as us, so it sells a better audience than sending it down to Tijuana. Be more honest, if you really want to get into it, you know. That's the problem. So you want American independence? Understand what your damn independence is about. And all this friggin' religious stuff and everything. Yeah, fine, great. There's no friggin' spaghetti sky god, you know. There's no magic sky daddy. Great, I accept that. Other people don't. Well, I'd say they have a problem with reality, and then there's places where you can't prove it. So you gotta have friggin' a skeptic, friggin' methodological naturalism to friggin' have a rational, realistic conversation about that. And that's why we are in the problems we're in, because we can't get the science down enough to friggin' establish a social cohesion to fix our cultural problems because of partisan polarization. Yeah. Happy 4th of July. Yeehaw!